Well, in this video, I just want to rub it in a bit. You know, details that have already been mentioned here. I'm probably going to title this one just Ignore or Ignoring Reality, one something like that. Now, why do I want to emphasize this? Well, because once again, there's things that you just can't erase from reality. No matter how stupid we play to be or ignorant we play to be or unaware we make believe we are, um, because it's a necessity. It's like in many, even in many governments worldwide, there's corruption that needs to be ignored. If not, uh, things won't flow. There's certain things that we, as a society, we pick and choose to remove or to correct or to sanction, or however we want to say it or address it. And then there's things that we have to overlook completely, because if we don't overlook it, then how would society function? Um, of course, this is more at a political, maybe economic level, which most of you probably don't have a clue what I'm talking about, but I don't have time to explain the details. But we all do know that there is financial and political corruption in pretty much every government on the face of the earth, but many things get ignored while some things, we over exaggerate when there's worse things out there or bigger fish to catch, but we tend to focus on the tiny fish. Now, again, my focus today is ignoring realities, ignoring things that should not be ignored. But, going back to me, because of course this issue revolves primarily around me, in this case. But the comments that I made, which, yeah, they were not probably the most appropriate, you could have just ignored that. That could have been an option. Those comments could have been ignored. Now, you might say, no, we can't do that. That's irresponsible from our part. I mean, somebody might say that, an investigator or somebody from human resources or anybody from the intelligence agencies, whatever, a cop, a detective, etc. No, you're not supposed to ignore, but it's done all the time. Like for example, again, I'm gonna be a broken record, but human resources in many places do this. But focusing on U.S. probation of Puerto Rico and U.S. District Court, the same way that you ignore and have ignored many, many others doing so many worse things, you could have ignored my comments because, again, my comments never hurt anybody. It was a conversation between me and one other person. But the same way that right now, inclusive, right now you're ignoring a lot of very bad behavior. Let's not just talk about the past. Right now, the nepotism that I already mentioned, the a lot of sexual infidelity or misconduct at work. Again, U.S. District Court and probation. A lot of these things that you are currently, 2025, you're currently ignoring, you could have done that in my case. I think that would be more on the equal side of life. I think that would be more on the side of treating everybody the same, treating everybody fairly, uh, not uh, targeting one but ignoring others that have done worse. Again, it sounds like bigotry. It sounds like discriminatory. It sounds, uh, every negative word you can come up with when you bully somebody for very tiny things compared to others. So right now, for example, I'm aware right now, it's March 2025. I'm aware right now of who is sleeping with who at the federal court system. I'm aware, and I know their first name and their last name from both parties, both the male and the female. When it comes to them, You're ignoring them. I mean, how is it that I disconnected or I was disconnected 2 years ago and I know this currently? How? If I know this, being an outsider, of course I have inside contacts, but if I know that, being an outsider, human resources cannot tell me they don't know. Or uh, supervisors in high places, you can't tell me they don't know. Of course, they're not going to make a big deal out of it. Like, for example, if Encarnacion is aware, well, he can't push too much because his own reputation is also on the line. How can he question what he himself has done? How can Ray question of others' infidelities or promiscuity, things he himself has done? How can Cancio also have the morals to do the same? Do you see how, again, ignoring becomes a very useful weapon in their favor, depending on the person? Because obviously they don't ignore everything, but they ignore enough to cover their own butts. Let's just put it that way. And then when it comes to the nepotism of Delgado and Anton Giorgi, which I've mentioned in the past, ignoring that, which again is beneficial, but hey, they're attorneys. They will use every technicality possible. And when it comes to the alphabet group of people that criticize God and religion, the same thing. See, we ignore all of this. This has been ignored for years. And by the way, the same way you ignored me, especially up in probation, but this also applies to HR and U.S. District Court. The same way you guys ignored me in the past when I went to human resources or during the investigation of that slutty little courtroom two lady. I don't want to even mention her name. But the same way you ignore me when I complain about them, when I mentioned clearly misbehavior from many people, you could have also ignored my own opinions on the matter. So you see how you guys are very, I don't know, very, what's the word? It's difficult because obviously to target somebody, you will use their words against them or you will take them serious. But when it's inconvenient from, for example, the complaints that I had, when those complaints are inconvenient, you ignore that. So like I mentioned previously in many of my videos, when a lot of the females there sent me texts, pictures, etc. See, all that was ignored completely. It's not convenient to take those comments serious. But hey, let's take his other comments serious. Let's target him that way, which is a form of retaliation technically. Because again, you either believe everything I say or you don't believe anything I say. You either take serious everything I say or you don't take anything serious or everything serious. I'm getting confused now. So, but you guys get the picture. You guys are, I mean, if you have two cells in your brain that have communication, you guys know what I'm referring to. So again, if you guys are good at ignoring most bad behavior, okay, you could have ignored my comments. It's that simple. So it's me again, broken record, emphasizing the injustice that and this goes across the board, across society, anywhere in the world. It's not just U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico. It's just that it's surprising that a court system would behave this way when they represent justice, when they are very far from that. So again, if you ignore worst behavior and over-focus small behavior, well, that's obviously convenient. Obviously in your favor. Obviously it falls within your narrative, which I hope karma eventually will reach, every one of you that behaved this way when it came to my case, and when it came to the case of many other guys, or even females, because once again, that's not right, that's not fair, that's not just. So again, hopefully karma would eventually knock at your door, whether it's at you directly or a family member of yours. a son, a daughter, whenever they start working, if they're not working, when something like this happens, well, just remember how you guys are pretty much the same. If you see an injustice done to even your spouse or a family member at a different workplace, well, just remember what you guys did to me. Again, these are the things that happen uh, with the passage of time, which again, I personally don't believe in karma, but these are things that tend to repeat because when we follow the patterns of ignorance and the patterns of injustice and the patterns of targeting people because we don't like them or for whatever reason, when we're not morally consistent, well, that has become a global problem. In that sense, I would say I believe in karma in that sense. Because again, if we all play the same stupid game, well, one day somebody's going to play that same stupid game, either with you or a family member or friend, etc. But once again, ignoring something you guys have done for decades, I don't know why you guys just could not ignore my personal comments, which according to the Constitution, we all have the right to have. It might not be popular, but it's my opinion. Just like you ignore the alphabet group criticizing God, the Bible during work hours at work, just like you ignore a lot of great leaders there, great, air quotes, but very immoral and decadent, etc. You know. So you could have ignored my comments just how you ignored other people's constant misbehavior, current misbehavior, and future misbehavior. But I know you have to do that. I know you have to ignore most because if you don't ignore most people's bad behavior, you will end up having nobody working there. Because sad to say, most people misbehave. Most people uh, play the game of whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. So here's my clothespin. I don't know what I don't know what else to put. Got my fingers. But again, guys, keep ignoring the Sodom and Gomorrah that you guys support. For most people, but only use one or two as an example as to try to mitigate the majority from doing that, which the majority keep doing it, but you can't, like I said, you can't hold them all accountable because then you won't have a courthouse. You'll have two or three people there that as employees versus the amount of people that you actually need there. So fear mongering and using threats like Cuba has done in the past is the way to go. So I was not wrong when I compared you guys to Cuba. I really was not wrong at all. So again, you guys could have just ignored my comments. Hey, and you guys can ignore these videos too. Just like you ignored um, all that misbehavior inside within your institution. Well, I'm outside of it, so you can ignore my videos. Don't take them serious. They're all alleged, although I know they're really not, but I have to say it. But guess what? You're good at ignoring, so don't make a big deal of my videos. They're boring anyway. They're stupid. My videos are just stupid. So just keep ignoring. No harm done, right? No harm done inside or outside your institution. So I hope you guys keep going to sleep with a good conscience in your heads. Okay. Well, have a good one. Bye.